We'll get on to the previews, not spoilers, previews.
Previews, that's
Um,
right.
we'll go and we're gonna go in reveal order, so you guys know what we're talking about, and I'll have it up on screen here. But we're gonna start out with Ochako 3.
Yeah.
How you feeling about this character, man?
I think this character is really cool. Like I read her at first and I was like, I don't know. So I'm gonna read her for everyone real quick and then I'll explain why I think she's really cool. So she's 625. Those are not great stats. That is, if you played back in the day, which you probably didn't, that is like where every six hand size character started originally, and they were painfully average is the best way to describe them. They just were not good. So her stats not great. She's got air, chaos, void. So clearly, air and chaos are her go-to symbols. Splicing in a little void. Void's pretty good right now. All right. Then she has two free responses. I don't even care what they do at this point. They're just free. Like that's good. But one of them is response after the combat phase begins. Reveal your momentum and add one high or charge attack revealed this way to your hand. So that triggers on your turn and your rival's turn. So that effectively makes her an 8 hand size over the course of any full cycle of turns. And even further, it's a selective. The second two cards are past her draw. Now, granted, she has to keep getting momentum, right? Like, and they have to be charge or high attacks. So if you're getting artificial momentum, they might be foundations. You don't get anything. I understand all that, but it's free and it's targeted. Okay, so I think that's very good. Then response after an attack is blocked, draw a card and discard a card. That means any attack, yours or theirs, you get to filter. Also seems pretty good. Your next check to play a card gets +1. You had me at filter. Now my checks are just getting +1 for no reason at all. Um, I don't see anything wrong with this character outside of her stats, but her stats are more acceptable when you consider that she's really like at least a 7-hander. Like, can we say that pretty reasonably? She's going to always get one between your turn and theirs.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, Now, Ryan, wasn't there some debate or question as far as how she interacts with her own cards from set one that are already added face up? Like, did they ever resolve that?
So I still haven't seen an official answer on it. I saw a maybe answer. So the question was, can you
It's
reveal a card that is already face up in the momentum? So
right, a
for
card that's
things
already
like
known. Like that's
yes,
that's the main thing, right?
yeah,
Because we already know that card's there.
yeah. Can you reveal a card? Well, yeah. So can you reveal a card that's face up, or can you reveal a card in a public zone? I think is the actual phrasing of the question that was asked.
Mm,
And I think the answer was tentatively yes. You can reveal something that is in a public zone that's already revealed or known. So it should
right.
work with her face up attacks unless we get an official ruling that says you can't. I get
Yeah.
the argument that you can't reveal something that's technically already revealed. I get that
Right.
side of it, but we'll
Right. You
see
can't
what the
flip
actual
something that's
answer
already
is.
flipped also, right? Like same sort of
Right.
idea. Like
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can't
yeah.
if you have tight lipped in play and it says flip a foundation, you can't flip a flip foundation to unflip it or to flip it
Right.
again. Like I get it. Like that idea doesn't apply. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
I
that's
know you're fine.
you and I talked about this a lot.
Yes, we did. Yeah. But yeah, that I think that we're still waiting on an official ruling. I guess is the long and short of that. But I think it
Okay.
probably works how we want it, how you would want it to work.
Yeah, and like to me, I do fall in the camp of it should work. Like you should just be able to reveal your momentum, even if that card's already there, because you're revealing all of your momentum. You're not just revealing select cards, right?
Yeah,
Um, and if that's true, then this character really is going to be crazy because zero gravity lift. Let's go. There's a throw. It meets those criteria. It's always going to loop. Like you thought Eraser had a hard time dealing with that card already. He's just not playable at that point. Like you sit down from her and you're like, cool. Every turn, literally every turn, I'm
yeah,
getting hit with a 6 damage throw. And then when I block it, she filters a card and gets +1 to her check.
yeah.
So
It's
I
pretty
don't know.
solid.
I think she seems cool. We haven't seen any of her kit really. Like we saw like the one card, right? The
Yeah,
foundation.
and
Um,
we'll
and
show that
it
here in
it
a
didn't
second.
yeah, it didn't excite me quite as much, but at the same time, it wasn't bad. Like,
Yeah.
um,
So this
I don't
is
remember
this
what it
is
did to
for
be honest.
sure my least favorite Ochako so far.
Yeah.
Mainly because she doesn't pull cards back during the turn.
Mm-hmm.
You have to wait and get it on your turn, your next turn, or on your opponent's turn. Which
Mm-hmm.
there's benefits to that and there's negatives to that. So I
Sure.
think she's a little more consistent on always getting something back. Because with Ochako one, you might just brick on drawing attacks on your next turn, and then you can't pull back what's in your momentum. So I
Mm-hmm.
get that inconsistency to her, and this one lets you just get something every turn. But I think the trade off there, she's certainly not as bursty. I don't think she can put together as ridiculous of attack strings as Ochako 1 can.
Mhm.
And not being able to add speed to her attacks, I think hurts her a lot because the other versions add speed. So
Yeah, well, she can't clear a card pool, right?
yeah,
Like that goes a long way. Both the other 2 bounce a card, to your point
right.
about putting together those attack turns, like that's the kinda stuff you're talking about.
Yes. And so I think she should probably have like 29 health, honestly. But yeah, I think she's the weakest of the three. I think she'll still be a fun, good enough character, but she's
Yeah.
my least favorite of the three, and I'm sure I'll be proven horribly wrong about Uraraka, but we'll see. We'll see what the future
Yeah.
brings.
Well, and I think to your point about, like, whether or not she can put together those crazy turns, I think that's what the second response is there for, right? Like, that
Yeah.
helps you filter. So, like, use the first one to kinda handcraft to set you up so you don't whiff, and then you use those to then put the pressure out and be like, "Okay, here's your 0 gravity lift. You wanna
Right.
take 6, or do you wanna block this and let me filter a card and get my next check +1 so I ignore progressive?" You know?
Yeah.
Um, so, I don't know, like, again, she just seems really consistent, so I don't know. I mean, I wanna see
I
the rest of the
think
kit.
yeah, I think it probably won't be uncommon for this Uraraka to end her turn after throwing like 3 or 4 attacks and just having no foundations committed because the air kit is just so dumb about reading stuff and like just being wild about reading everything. So I think she'll be able
Right.
to like play defense pretty good as long as she holds on to cards. And she can obviously pull cards back from her momentum on her opponent's turn, so that helps out with that.
Yeah, so she can pull back blocks, so one thing, and we can then before we move on, I guess, to her foundation or just to another character,
Mhm.
one thing I think that's really important that we see a little bit of already in set 2 that I wanna see more of is momentum control.
Yes.
Like, because right now, all the Urakas are running around doing whatever they want because there's very little momentum control in set 1. There's a few cards.
Yeah.
And they aren't necessarily cards you would automatically put in a list. You have to kind of like go out of your way to put them in there in some situations. But it's really important. And if there is more momentum control in set 2,
Mhm.
or just in the game soon enough anyway, then I think her as a character, regardless of version, takes a big hit. So
Yeah. Agreed. All right, let's talk about her foundation really quick here. So we got ambush tactics. It's a 2/5 +3 mid block, enhanced flip, reduce your attack speed to 0. Your next attack gets +2 speed, and your next check to play a card gets +1. And then a free enhance. If your first attack this combat phase was blocked, this attack gets +1 damage. I think this card's really good. I think both enhances are really good. I mean a free damage bump on the bottom, and a flip that just makes your zero gravity lift, or is it zero gravity lift is the 6 damage throw, right?
yeah, yeah, that's the throw.
Yeah. So it makes it it makes it so it's gonna deal damage anyway, and it boosts your next
Right.
attack. Like no
You
one
don't
gives a
care if
shit
they
about the
block your
speed of it.
throw.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a 0 speed, whatever. My next one's gonna be faster and it's gonna be easier to play. Also, if you block this, then my next one's even easier to play because I get +2 to my check and I filter a card.
Yep.
So, my next one's gonna be harder for you to block. Yeah, no, I agree. This foundation is awesome.
Yeah.
The fact that that second enhance is completely free and, like, it sits in play, so your rival gets to play around it, right?
Mhm.
Um, but, like, depending on the character you're playing and outside of just using it with her, there's a lot of times where they don't wanna block, um, or they do wanna only block your first attack or whatever. Like, think
Yeah.
about if you're running against a deck which an air deck, right? An instant explosion release. Like, okay, you're sitting down looking at these things and you're like, well, if I block this first one, the next one gets +1 damage anyway. But if I don't block it,
I
they
might
might
just
get
get
free
plus ultra.
momentum. Yeah. So, like,
Yeah.
it creates these like really tough situations for your rival to be in. And I think that
That's the
that's really
goal, man.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Make people make really difficult decisions. Like that's what games are. Making it's a series of decisions. So
Agreed. All right, let's move on to our favorite character, everyone's favorite character, Mineta.
good.
So Mineta is
Good.
a 531, which I expected a 5-hander out of Mineta at some point. So 531, Death, Evil, Water, enhance once per turn. Your rival adds 1 foundation from their stage to their card pool. If it is your rival's turn, they may build the top card of their deck face down. And then enhance, discard 1 momentum, reduce this attack speed to 0, draw a card. This character seems nutty. I think that I will actually play this character as much as I hate Mineta. I think I could see
Uh,
myself playing this guy. I like the card pool clog theme. and obviously a discard of momentum to reduce attack to 0 speed on a stick, and then draw a card as well is really dumb. I guess the saving grace for everyone else is that these symbols aren't generating a lot of artificial momentum right now. That could change in the future, but they're certainly not throwing 3 or 4 momentum into their momentum at any given time. So you should be all right. Just block some attacks, I guess.
Right. So I'm like on the opposite end of the spectrum. I think this character's bad.
Really?
Um, yeah, I don't. I mean, like, so the debuild is cool,
Mm-hmm.
but it only debuilds on your turn. On their turn, they get a replacement one,
Mm-hmm.
But I do love the card pool clogging aspect of it, and I do think with the evil water stuff that's already in this in set one and the DLC and all, I do think that this deck could be a thing. Like,
Yeah.
let me say all that. I'm just saying that I don't like his your point about the momentum, right? So on water, you can run some throws and you can kind of guarantee that momentum. But outside of that, like Death and Evil have a hard time making those sort of things connect.
Right.
So like that enhance being gated by momentum is a very real cost for those symbols. And yeah, it's awesome when it does happen. But like he's a five-hander who doesn't cheat being a five-hander
Mm-hmm.
inherently. Like he has to do other things to cheat being a five-hander. And to me, that's why I don't think he's actually very good.
Okay.
He looks really powerful, but
Yeah. That's fair. Yeah, I think the momentum thing will probably be his biggest hindrance. If he ever gets any artificial momentum gen,
oh yeah,
he could get really out of control. You're just blocking everything for free,
yeah.
and it's gonna be unpleasant.
Even if you get some version of like what was it, the foundation that just adds to your hand, the Shoto one off of water,
Yeah,
something accuracy, right? I can't remember.
yeah,
Precise control,
precise control. Yeah,
precise control. If you get something that's the equivalent, but it just like adds to his momentum from his stage or whatever, then I
yeah,
think this character's got some really cool tricks and some stuff he can do, right? Um, like, but at the same time, we haven't seen that yet. So until to your point, until we see some artificial momentum gen or some more throws and like a little bit different kit, um, I don't think the card pool clearing kit guarantees enough damage or guarantees enough attacks land to get the
yeah.
momentum that he's going to need to consistently play defense with his ability because he's also only five-hander. So like
Right.
you have to extend out offensively to push in to get that damage through. And then once you get it through, you can replenish your hand on defense and auto block stuff. But I just think it's
Yeah,
gonna be challenging.
yeah. I bought some grape brushes in anticipation of trying to play this character, and I was trying to show it to Matt earlier, and it's funny because it
Whoa,
automatically he gets censored because he's
censored.
NSFW.
God,
He's too hot
yeah,
for the stream or for the recording, so it's crazy that even my Logitech camera and software is like, nah, no Mineta
it's
here. Get it
it's
off
all
the
those
screen.
sticky balls everywhere, dude. There's like whoa, whoa, whoa,
No sticky balls here.
inappropriate.
All right,
Clean
well
about it.
let's talk about this Mineta spam. So we got
Yeah.
surviving the final, 0-5 +3 high block, enhance once per turn. This attack gets -1 speed.
Hmm.
Um, obviously the same symbols. I think the coolest thing about this card is the art. The art's actually really dope.
Yeah.
But a once per turn -1 speed on spam. I guess it's fine. I mean, it's not what we've seen on some of the other
Yeah.
spam in set one, but it's fine. It's not blowing my mind or anything.
Right, like, it's not a card you get really excited about. I mean, I guess it's kinda cool that if you have, like, 4 of these in play, you can randomly give an attack, like, -4 speed for free, and then you
Sure.
tap the 4 of them to help you block, so that's, like, really 8, which is, like,
Yeah.
a lot, but again, you know, it's spam.
I
It's got a
mean,
+3 high block. It's
yeah.
got playable ability. I'm not gonna complain about it,
I guess the way you have to look at this card is it just taps for 2 when blocking. Is how
Right.
you look at it, and it feels a lot better, I guess, if you look at it that way.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I mean, it's fine. I'll be happy to run it because some of these symbols don't have great spam. So
So you can do cool things with this card in Rescue Complete, right?
yes.
So like you use rescue or you use this, give -1, tap it for rescue complete, give another -2. So
Mhm.
effectively this foundation gave -3. Like that's pretty good. Like that's
Sure.
not terrible. There used to be a foundation that literally just was enhanced commit this attack is -3 speed, and it was a staple.
Mhm.
So like this kind of is like a different approach to gotcha, I guess, because gotcha has that same interaction.
Right.
Except for gotcha just kind of does more.
Yeah, it works
So
both sides.
yeah, and it still has an off zone block, which that's better. So,
Yeah.
um, that's on symbol comparison too. So I don't think this card's going to find a home in a lot of lists. That's
Yeah,
just
I
my
think
guess.
it's totally fine spam. Could be better, could be worse. Not much to
Yeah.
talk about.
Yeah.
Moving on. Let's move on to Mac Daddy Mr. Fireman Endeavor.
He's on
So
fire.
so Endeavor 630, so he's a chunky boy, big thick man.
Mhm.
All Earth Fire. Enhance.
Mhm.
Free enhance. Your non-throw attack gets +1 damage for every 6 cards in your discard pile. And
Mhm.
response commit after you are dealt 5 or more damage, add 1 attack from your discard pile to your hand. Tell me what you think, man. This seems like your kind of guy.
Um, so I think that that enhance is not very good. Um, like because 6 cards and you discard pile, like I don't know. I mean, like I guess it doesn't look at the type of cards, so that's
Right.
something, you know. It's like you could just build out and then build out again and probably
Yeah.
be getting like +2 to every non-throw, which is pretty cool. Um, but I the enhance doesn't excite me a ton, but I think that response is really cool. Like I just see playing Endeavor off of Earth with super regions and like cool, take the hit, gain 3 back. Your attack dealt more than 5, or sorry, respond. Your attack dealt more than 5. Pull back the attack. Now I'm going to respond, flip, gain 3 of it back. Like that seems pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Um, so and it's targeted recursion, which is I mean, you played back in the day. There was a foundation that literally like was just response commit or whatever, let you pull back a select attack from your discard pile, and it was a snap 4x, like
Yeah.
at all times. And you even had to kind of awkwardly play your turn to make it work sometimes, but you did not care because it was that good.
Yeah.
So I think having that on a character is pretty awesome. So he's got the big health pool. You know, he's got that all might stats, that 630. So you know the number 2 hero's trying. Um, and yeah, I think he is cool. I look forward to seeing like what his support all does. Like if I remember correctly, he's one of the characters that only has a few cards. Is what the current speculation list looks like
Yeah.
because they apparently put the characters in alphabetical order. So people are like doing the calculus to try to figure out how many card slots different characters have and
Yes.
stuff. And some characters apparently have like 3 or 4 instead of the full 9 cards and that sort of stuff. So um, I
Yeah.
don't know how many he has. I didn't look at that
He
list beforehand.
he should be a 3-card character, I believe.
Okay, well, and he's not in that season a whole lot, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've seen 2 of them then, right? Him and his attack. So
Mhm.
whatever his other card is, we'll see what it does. And
Probably a foundation,
um,
most likely.
probably, yeah. And you know, he shares fire with Shoto, and Shoto has a similar theme of get cards in the discard pile. But the
Yeah.
thing is, Endeavor doesn't do anything to get them there, which is why I don't think that ability is actually that crazy good.
Yeah, I think if you want to build around that ability, you play the Frigid Heat Wave ranged package. The problem is
Yeah.
on fire, the ranged package kind of sucks right now. Hopefully, it gets some support in set 2. The only
Well,
character that ranged package is really good in fire is Tokiyami because you can play his attacks.
that
So
buffs the speed
yeah,
and the
and
damage.
right. So I do think that his first enhance will probably end up being a little better than we're anticipating because like
Mhm.
starting your after you play your first attack on turn 2, all your attacks are probably getting +1 damage. And then if the game
Right.
goes any meaningful amount of time, like he's got 30 health, he's not dying on turn 2. Most likely,
Mhm.
like he certainly could, but he's probably not dying on turn 2. So by the time you
Right.
get through like onto your turn 3, you might be getting just +2 damage to all your attacks, which is pretty good for a free enhance.
Oh,
The
yeah.
I guess the problem is you can't put it on throws, so you kind of have to do it the good old fashioned way, and you don't boost damage or speed on this character. So
Mhm.
I don't know how you're getting all the damage through because you also don't draw cards other than getting hit on your opponent's turn, which doesn't really help you.
Right. I mean, so the cool thing is there, like when you do get hit on their turn, even if you're not trying to handcraft to for the backswing, you can just pull back whatever attack has the best block on it,
Yeah,
so you
you're
just
picking
don't
up
die
Ice
that
Storm,
turn.
baby.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You could. You can pick up them breaker blocks for
You,
sure.
you hit
Like
me.
that's just a
I'm
cool ability.
Yeah. Now I do like that second ability. That second ability is really strong. Being able to tutor up any one attack or even
Mhm.
like your best to block on an
Yeah,
attack is really good.
yeah. I'm
We'll
excited
see
to
what
see where he
his
goes.
Yeah, I am as well. I hope for his foundation that it has some sort of control check ability on it to
Mhm.
accelerate his enhance. I know you're not a fan of those abilities, but I'm hoping that we get something
Oh
like
no,
that for him.
I don't mind them. I just don't think you're gonna see them. Not soon. Like
Fair
it's just a
enough.
little bit more complex as far as like to explain, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. You know, like as opposed to just being free or just having a momentum or destroy or whatever. But
All
yeah,
right. Well, let's talk about his attack, Hellflame Javelin. That's a
Hellflame Javelin.
4.
That's a
It's a cool
dope
name.
name.
It's a cool name. I can't really see what's going on because the Jesco stamp is right over the art. Like it's
Oh, it's
him.
it's where he's reaching back and he makes the javelin before he throws it at the Nomu that's flying away.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, he murders it. It goes like through the eye sockets. Like he definitely
God,
murders that dude. That Nomu
what a
is very
beast.
dead. Yeah.
So this is a 4/3, 4 high for 3 with a +1 high block, fury, and ranged attack. It's got 2 free enhances. The first one is if this attack is blocked, your rival cannot play breaker abilities for the rest of the combat phase. What's up, Ice Storm? And enhance if
Mhm.
you have 10 or fewer cards in your deck, commit 2 rival foundations or assets or any combination. Um so I really like that second ability if you could somehow accelerate your way there. I think that ability is
Mhm.
probably pretty solid in actually like Tokiyami or Todoroki 1 because you're going
Mhm.
through your deck really fast.
Sure.
Um I don't I mean I guess like that first ability is just free. Like you're gonna play it every time you play the attack and hope you don't get breakered, right? Or you're not gonna
Right.
get breakered. You know you're not gonna get breakered. So
Right.
I think this is a fine card. It sucks that it's really understated. It's like a 3 damage attack. And you don't
Mhm.
really want to lead your turn with that. I guess ideally you're
Right.
getting some damage from Endeavor on this. Um,
Right. I think that's the reason it's understated is because he buffs exclusively damage.
yeah,
And this card wants to be played late in the game when you have 10 or fewer. So, like, at that point, your attack's probably getting, like, +5 or more,
right.
like, so if it's a 4 high for 8, you feel better about it?
I certainly feel better about it on 4 diff, yeah.
Yeah, like, alright, yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think the keywords on this are really cool because it shares 2 symbols with Bakugo, and
Yes.
he likes having fury attacks, so that gives
Mhm.
him some cool options off of Earth and Fire for set 2. Um, block's great, off zone, cool. I agree, it's a poke damage kinda thing, doesn't feel
Yeah,
great, but the second ability is also one of the only abilities I can think of in the game right now that interacts with assets.
yeah,
um, which is really good because much like I was talking about how we need stuff to interact with momentum, we need things to interact with their assets as well. Because
right.
there's some assets that just sit there and cause a problem for you if you don't do something soon.
Yeah, we're
So
gonna
yeah,
talk about one of those later.
yeah, I think this is a cool designed card. Like
Yeah,
in a vacuum, it doesn't wow you, but at the same time, you're like, okay, this is some cool stuff. Let's see how it goes.
agreed. Alright, let's move on to Mina. Mina Ashido, wherever she's at. So
Yeah.
627, Chaos Death Water. Um, So that's an interesting symbol spread. I like the symbol spread. Face down cards in your card pool do not count towards progressive difficulty.
Hmm.
This means almost nothing in the current format, but it is good against Mineta, I guess, right now. And then a response after your punch or ranged attack deals damage. Your rival loses 1 health for each face down card in your card pool.
Hmm.
So she is gonna get a full kit. Um, she will have to lean heavy into doing stuff with face downs for this character to be good.
Hmm.
With what we've seen so far, I don't think this character is very good, and I don't think she's going to do very much. But if her kit is strong and can lean heavy into that card pool clog,
Hmm.
or just flipping cards that your opponent's already played, maybe, or cards you've already played, I guess is what it works off of.
Yeah, it's your
If
card pool.
Yeah, so if you can flip your cards after they resolve or something somehow, some way, then I could
So
see her being decent.
I might be able to shed some light because this is a design thing that they did towards the more recent years in Standard. They designed some characters that kind of interact with similarly. They
Hmm.
did some really cool stuff with it. So like there was an Akuma who had the exact same static, right? And what was cool was like I'm sorry, his attacks had the same static. And when they would play, they ignored face downs, and his character added face downs to do stuff. So you could like add the top card of his deck either face down or face up or something to gain like stun and he just did some
Okay,
cool stuff.
sure.
Um, so it would not surprise me. And they also designed some foundations that would add like from the stage to your card pool as like a cost kind of thing. So like if they design some stuff like that that comes in and then they flip or other things like that.
Okay,
So that way there's ways for you to clog your own card pool, but you're not really clogging it because all your stuff ignores it.
yeah,
Um, so like that seems to be the direction she's going. Does that mean it's good and competitive? No. However, that Akuma was very good and very competitive and destroyed people for a while. So I think she's deceptively potentially very good. Like that response. I mean, she's locked into 2 keywords, right? Punch or ranged.
right.
But I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if on average she's burning people, I mean, 2 or 3 health off of any attack, is just like, so think about it. Like we play an attack, a punch attack, and let's say it only deals 1, but then I burn you for 3, it really did 4. Or let's
Mhm.
say, I hit you for 5 and then it burns you for 2. Like, they're separate instances, so, like, you can't reduce that damage down. It's like a lot of stuff that returns to the printed and all, you're like, "Okay, cool, whatever, don't care. Still gonna
Right.
burn you for 2 or 3 also." So, like, I'm not willing to say that she's not good, but again, she seems like she's gonna be very kit dependent, and also,
Yes.
maybe if there's another character in the set that also helps with those things, you know?
Agreed.
So, but it's a free
Um,
response, and free is
yeah, so
good.
yeah, we like free. All right, and speaking of well, it's not really free, but anyways, choosing a hero name is our next foundation. 2/5 plus 3 high
Pinky!
block. Yeah, Pinky. Response commit after your attack gets a damage penalty due to your rival's non-character effect. It gets +4 damage, and then enhance. Add this card to your card pool face down. Here's some kit. We like it. This punch
Yeah,
or ranged attack gets +2 or -2 damage. What do you think about
yeah.
that foundation, man?
I think this is gonna be like probably a snap 4X in her, right? Like we were just talking
Easily.
about. Having a foundation that asks your carpool face down to give +2 or -2, that's great. Like, she just buffs her own attack. Or if you're playing those same sort of attacks, which also if you're playing against a water or chaos deck, they might be playing the range kit. Playing against like another good deck or whatever, they might be playing the punch kit. And you're just like, cool, let's go ahead and reduce that on down, save myself a little damage. And then when I go to block, I ignore those anyway, so it doesn't matter. You're debuilding yourself, so that kind of sucks.
Right.
But if it saves you the game because you just save some damage or whatever, and that first response commit after an attack gets a damage penalty due to your rival's non-character effect, it gets +4. Hey,
Yeah.
okay, uh, okay.
Yeah, right.
Like +4 is a big number,
It is a lot of damage, yeah,
and that's a commit. That's not a flip. Like this thing's gonna be here the whole game once it's in play. Be like, yeah, you want to reduce that? Cool.
yeah. You ain't
Yeah,
reducing her damage.
nah, nah.
Nah, nah, man. Alright, let's move on to someone else, someone that wishes he was in a Marvel comic book every day of his life and had a different identity. We got Sero, AKA Spider Tape Man.
Can
Uh,
we talk about the art on this card real quick?
I like the art.
Like, yeah, well, so the pose and all is really cool. What's weird though is like, so his helmet is open,
Mhm.
so it just looks like his hair has like the crazy like Elvis hair or whatever that's like just going up for like miles.
Okay. Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. I get that,
yeah,
yeah.
and it like it's cool art, you know, like in general. But like every time I look at it, I'm like, what in the world's going? Oh, it's his mask. Yeah, it's his mask. We're cool.
So, speaking of the art and the card, it's why didn't they move the health and hand stats to the right side so it didn't cover his tape up
I
like they did
know,
for
man.
Midnight, man? You're killing me.
Like, maybe he's like throwing his health and his hand size at you. They
Oh
were
yeah,
on
he's
the end of
like,
the tape. What it
catch
is.
this.
Yeah.
Uh, so we got a 626. Yikes! Air, order, water. Enhance your attack. Discard one card from your rival's card pool. Your attack gets +3 speed, and you draw a card. Well, it's not phrased like that. Period. Draw cards. That is
Mhm.
relevant.
It
And then
is.
enhance twice per turn. Commit one foundation. Your rival commits one foundation.
Mhm.
So I'm in on this character. Um, I like that his enhance. I know Matt was questioning why it might be a twice per turn. It's probably
Yeah,
twice per turn because you can play it on your opponent's turn and commit
right.
two other things down and like open them up for a backswing potentially.
Hmm.
And then
He basically has, was it static the, jolt electric jolt on his
yes,
character.
which Electric Jolt looks pretty good in this character.
It does look pretty good on this character. Shares
And
2
then
symbols.
his first enhance seems like it's really good. I mean, you trade a card in their card pool for +3 speed and a new card in your hand.
Yeah.
I'll take that all day.
Yeah, so, like, really that first enhance says your attack gets +2 speed and draw a card, right?
Mhm.
Because you're reducing their progressive by 1, so the math checks out. So it's really you're netting +2 speed, which is still good. It's
Yeah.
+2 and you draw a card. That's very free. Um, yeah, I mean, like, I g to your point, like, I read this card and I was like, "Eh, okay." I mean, like, it's cool enough. Like, the thing that I don't like about it, and I think this is the thing that when you're building him, you have to accommodate for, is that your rival's in the driver's seat of his abilities. Meaning, if they just choose not to block, and I say this as someone who plays All Might, right? Your rival's in the driver's seat there as well. And sometimes they just empty their hand, and I can't do anything
Yeah.
as far as buffing my attacks. This is kind of the way they get to do here, right? Like, there's like, I don't want this guy to draw any cards. Let's just see if he can kill me with printed. And they just don't block. So, like, he needs ways to put things in their card pool.
Right.
If he has those sort of things, then this dude is definitely got some legs, some potential. His stats suck, but you know, he does, like you said, he gets to tap 2 things anytime they push in. Like, if they play
Mhm.
2 attacks, you're like, "Cool, you lost 2 more resources," and those don't come back until your next turn.
Yeah, I think it's like you look at this character and you're like, "Oh man, he's probably really good with indiscriminate shock on air and order." But I think secretly he's probably just better off of water because you can put things into the card pool on water. You can ready
Mhm.
your foundations on water. You can do some craziness like you can tap your face down foundations, then blow up rescue completed to ready your face down, so it doesn't really cost you anything.
Sure.
I think he's probably gonna end up being really good water, a really good water character.
Yeah, could be, for sure.
And let's look at his attack here. We got Tape Stream Jab. It's a 4/3, 3 mid for 4 with a +2 mid block. It's a
Mhm.
ranged punch, which is cool.
Yeah.
I like that. Enhance. Your rival adds the top card of their discard pile to their card pool. There's something for you.
Boom.
And
Yeah.
then enhance. If a card is left your rival's card pool this combat phase, change the zone of this attack. So this is a any
Hot,
zone attack that's 6 speed mid. You like it.
hot. Yeah, yeah. So, you remember a minute ago when I was like, "Hey, here's the character analysis, and here's my thoughts on it." They're like, "Oh, by the way, we got you, Matt." Yeah, like, if the rest of his kit is like this, yeah, yeah, this dude's gonna be cool. Like, again, a design space they've used before, the whole, like,
Yeah.
pitching things from their card pool to gain benefits for your stuff, like, that's a cool idea. So yeah, I'm on board. Like, if I don't know how good this card is in a lot of other characters, like punch ranged. All right, I don't really see this making it into most punch decks. Might make it
Yeah.
into a range deck or two, but eh. Um, but for him, snap 4x. Like, let's go. Um, I mean, it's a great poke.
There's probably something to be said about a punch deck adding cards to your opponent's card pool, since punches historically don't add a lot of speed to themselves.
Yeah,
This kind of helps you get there a little bit on the speed if you're playing
but look
punches
at
out
those
of any of these
symbols.
symbols. Yeah,
Yeah, that's the problem. Like, that's what I'm getting at. Like, it's even with Mina earlier, Ashido. Like, what she has punch and ranged. Okay, well, what punches does she have access to? Like this one now, you know. But
yeah,
I think that's them designing for either this set of things that we don't know yet, or for the future as well. Like they're
right.
going to add more to those kits that we just haven't seen. So makes sense. But yeah,
All right. Let's go to your boy here. I know you like this guy.
I do.
Hitoshi Shinso, a
Shinso.
719.
Mm,
All order void. First form. Name an attack zone, either high, mid, or low. Attacks that match the name zone get +2 speed for the rest of this combat phase. And then response once per turn. After your rival's attack resolves, reveal one random card in their hand. They must play that card as their next form or discard it.
mhm.
Give me your deets on this, man. What you feeling on this guy?
So I like this character from the anime, right? Like, and from the manga. Like, he's a cool character. He only gets cooler as the show goes. Um, I think this character is very flavorful. Um, I think the fact he's 719 and doesn't do anything to help himself survive means he is going to evaporate in the game currently. Like, he's also very similar to Eraser, shares 2 symbols with him also, which is kinda cool from, the anime standpoint and the story as well. But he doesn't do what Eraser does as far as trying to survive, and Eraser evaporates in a lot of matchups, Like, then there's
Yeah,
other matchups where he dominates and you just can't hit him, right? But, um, I like the first form. It's just a free +2 speed for whatever you wanna say for that turn. Um, I don't love that you have to telegraph what zones you're playing with it, like, "Hey, I'm playing a low deck," or, "Hey," like, he doesn't have to do those things, but you telegraph what you're gonna play that turn, right?
yeah,
Because I don't think you use this for that 1x, like, "Oh, man, I got 2 highs and 1 low. I'm gonna name low." Like, why would you do that, right? Like, that's bad. Um,
yeah,
but his response, um, is, again, very flavorful, very accurate. Um, the thing is it triggers off their attacks. So really, it says once per turn, but how are they attacking you on your turn? Like, there's no way to do that currently. So really, it's once per turn on your rival's turn.
yeah,
And yeah, I mean, it's okay, but they can just discard the card. Like, I wish it didn't have that part of it. Like, I wish it made them play whatever it is next.
yeah,
Um, and I
yeah.
think if that were the case, that would be different.
We talked about in our group chat about if they would just give him "You Will Not Escape," that like costed
Yes.
maybe like momentum or something, so you couldn't do it on turn one, like something
Right.
to balance it out a little bit.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know what You Will Not Escape is, don't search it. It'll just make you sad. But
Yeah,
it's an action from way back when, and basically you played it after they played a form, right? Just like anything they did, and you're like,
yeah,
you have to play a non-attack card next or something, right? And
Non-foundation card next. So you played it on their
Not
turn
funny. There you
one.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then they
So
had
they
to
go
play an
to
attack.
so they go to building. You're like, play an attack. Good luck.
Yeah.
Looks like you fail. It's my turn. Hee
Yeah.
hee. Um,
So
I think
this
something along those lines would have been cool.
yeah, I agree. It would have been probably broken. Maybe we'll get that on version 2 of this guy. But
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, this is a fair version of that same idea, right? Like, so they did really
yeah.
try, and I love the design of him for the character. Again, I just don't think he's going to be super competitive with the way he is right now.
Yeah, I think that I mean, I guess if you're playing I wish it was like after anything resolved, like after they played a card and it resolved. Because then on their build turns you can make them reveal and if it's an attack, you're like play that attack or you have to discard it. And I think that's still fair.
Yeah, I guess the idea is that like when people are building, maybe they're just not talking, right? Because his ability, he has to ask you
Sure.
questions, you answer.
Yeah.
Um, but
So that's the flavor
it's hard to
restriction, I
capture that.
guess. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to capture that, I think, in the game, and I think they did a good job with it. But
Yeah.
his foundation, though, I will gladly talk about his foundation.
So it's a 2/5 unexpected hero. It's got a
Mhm.
+3 low block. Response commit. After your rival discards a card during the combat phase, draw a card. And enhance flip. This attack gets -3 speed and +3 damage. Tell me all about this card, dude.
Card is hot. Um,
Hot.
so like I've been freaking out about this card. And maybe I'm just overly freaking out about it, but like that response is so good because it says after your rival discards a card during the combat phase. Doesn't say due to your effect or
Mhm.
theirs or whatever. So it triggers off of anything. It doesn't say non-character. It's
Mhm.
anything where they pitch a card. So Midoriya's new ability, Midoriya's old ability, discard your hand or discard your cards, right? Triggers. Draw a card. If they go and they use something like an unwavering slash, you're like, boom, draw a card. And like, there's so many things for people who are just currently filtering cards.
Yeah.
Uraraka. We just were talking about Uraraka, right? Like her new character ability. Boom, I draw a card too. Like, and you can get 4 of these things in play. Like
Yeah.
Eraser. Eraser goes to use his character ability and like, cool, draw 4 cards. Like, holy shit, this card's insane. But then the enhanced flip is also very playable. Like, you and I were talking about like, yeah, I'll just give my throw -3 speed for +2 damage, or I'll just wait till you don't have any cards left in your hand, and I'm going to flip 4 of these, and I'm going to add 12 damage to an attack. Guess you're dead now.
Yeah. Yep.
Like,
I mean, I certainly like this card. I like the flip more than I like the response because the response I mean, I guess like in what is it? On order, does order get passing the torch? What symbols get passing the
yeah, it does.
torch?
It does. It does.
So like on order, you just get passing the torch, which is just better if you're just trying to draw cards. The flip though, the flip can get nasty, um,
Hmm.
and it's good offensively and defensively. So
Hmm.
I like the flip a lot more. I like that it has a low block on it, and I like that you can draw cards randomly during your opponent's turn. I mean, or even during your turn, I guess if they're doing stuff on
Right.
your turn. So
Right.
I think the card's really
Meteor
good.
shower. Meteor
I don't
shower.
I don't
Draw a
think it's
card.
like busted or cracked or anything. I'm not going crazy over it like Matt, but I do like the card.
I like this card a lot. I think it's
Yeah,
really cool. Um,
I like it. He
because
likes
the
it a
thing is,
lot.
like, I know how much like I like you love card draw. Like you and John both, like y'all value it higher than I do, I think. Like I remember at one point you were like, I don't know how to play this Kamui Woods deck. It doesn't draw any cards. And then you're like,
And
oh
then we
yeah.
put Relentless Barrage in the deck, and I was like, "All right, this is
Right,
good."
right, right, right. We gave it what it could, but what
Yeah.
I'm getting at is that like, that was kind of locking you into what you would play so far in set one. And that's why I'm surprised you're not losing your mind more about this card because I'm like, it's so much card draw. Like, I mean, you're not wrong. Like passing the torch off of order does just draw on command more, right? But at the same time, there's 2 other symbols on this card.
I guess the thing is, I like card draw without commitment. So I like card draw on attacks and stuff, where I'm not having to commit a foundation for a card draw. Because then
Some card draw is just not good enough for you, huh?
that's you're right. That's right. I got high standards for my card draw, baby. All right. Um, let's move on to our next character, Hatsume Mei Hatsume.
Mm-mm.
She is a 528. All evil life. Before the game begins, search your deck for 4 copies of Box Full of Babies and remove them from the game. I'm gonna go ahead and
Let's just
stop for
go
a
ahead and
second,
clarify.
and we'll
It's
look
not
at
actual
Box Full.
babies.
Yeah, we're gonna look. We're gonna talk about Box Full of Babies real quick before we get to the character. So this is a 1/5 Box Full of Babies +2 mid block. It's a tech asset that enhance once per turn. Only on your turn, you draw a card. You discard a card unless your character is Mei Hatsume. and then
Mhm.
enhanced commit to give your tech or weapon attack +1 speed and +1 damage. So it's relevant to know what this card does because it's integral to the character. Um, this card, outside of the character that it's built for, I think is okay. Like it's filter on a stick on your own turn, but I don't think I would probably play it in most decks. What do you think about this card?
You want me to talk about just box full of babies?
Yeah, talk about just boxful babies, regardless of May, and then we'll talk about it with May when we get back to the character.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think it sees a lot of play outside of her.
Okay,
Like it's an asset, so like it's just not as good as having a foundation that draws a card. To your point a minute
right.
ago, right? Filtering's never bad, and sure it is free, but the enhanced commit, your tech or weapon attack gets +1 speed and +1 damage. Like, okay, so if I have four of these in play, it's +4/+4, which we
Hmm.
were just talking about a foundation that just flips for +3 damage. Like, I
Yeah,
don't know. I
I could
don't.
see this being played in an unwavering slash deck as the card you go get instead of Earphone Jack, maybe.
Yeah,
Um,
maybe.
just depending on the deck. All right, so let's go back to the character. So now, at the start of the game, you go get all four copies of that in your deck, and you remove them from the game.
Hmm.
First form, you build one copy of Box Full of Babies from your remove from game pile. All right, so you get it for free. And then enhance
Hmm.
flip one foundation. Your tech or weapon attack gets +1 damage for each asset in your stage.
Hmm.
So I guess I'll talk about this character first. I actually like this character a lot. I can see myself playing this character. Um, you obviously still want to go first with this character, but I think she has a super good advantage built in where if you lose that die roll and you do have to go second, you immediately you're up to like a seven-hander on your second turn because you can first form on your first turn, first form on your second turn, and then you can just draw two cards on your first attack. So I think that's a pretty good advantage to going second if you get unlucky and lose the die roll. I still don't think it's good enough to just choose to go second with this character, but
Mhm,
I think her flip a foundation to give your tech attack +1 damage for each asset in your stage. Um, Once you get all of them online, I think that can probably get pretty nutty. You can probably start throwing some really big, just really big attacks, really fast attacks, and you're
mhm,
gonna get to draw a ton of cards. Like I think she's gonna be really fun personally, and I think she can
mhm.
be competitive as well.
Yeah, I think this character's too slow to be competitive, but I do think that she could be a fun deck. So like your point about like if you go second, um, and then on your second turn going second, you're effectively like a seven-hander.
Mhm.
Thing is, like, you still have to find that attack, right? Like, so if you just kind of whip on the draw, you're still just falling further and further behind. Now, granted, odds are over the course of two hands, you're going to find at least one attack, right? Like,
Right.
that's very unlikely it doesn't happen. But, you know, is it worth playing one attack just to draw two to then try to like build out more or whatever? So, um, I and her flip, so it starts off as tight lip, right? Because you always have one copy of hers in play. So flip foundation for +1 damage. Tight lip
Yeah.
sees played right now. So
Yep.
that's because it's spam and it just does stuff. I like that she removes them, so that thins her deck out, and then also prevents you from just drawing them and them not being useful. So like
Correct.
I like that aspect of her. Um, my problem comes in really it's her life. She's a 5/28, so she's a five-hander with six hand size life, and not like the maximum 600 life, like All Might's 630. Now, granted, he's the number one hero, but still, like that
Yeah.
Endeavor 630. So, um, I think that that's kind of where, for me, she falls off. Like, if she was 530, I think that'd probably be, I'd be more enticed by this character. And I know it's only two health points. It sounds like I'm nitpicking, but
Sure.
um, yeah, that's kind of where it falls for me. Like, I mean, if she gets all four of them in play and you're drawing four cards and you're giving your tech attack +4 damage or weapon attack +4 damage, and then you tap it for another +4/+4. Yeah, I get it. Like that attack's coming across for a bajillion damage and a bajillion
Right.
speed. So it's not that there's not value there. I think that she's going to be slow. Like you said, it's going to take a couple turns before she really gets rolling. And then, but who knows? Like, I don't. Is she one of the characters getting a full kit? Because maybe her attack kit just makes up for it.
Yeah. So she does get a full kit. Yes.
Yeah. So
Allegedly, based on what we know so far, allegedly
yeah,
she
the
gets a full kit.
speculation. Yeah. So
So
if
I
that's the
think
case,
she,
then that could be enough.
yeah, I think she's a like I know I mentioned Unwavering Slash earlier, but I think Unwavering Slash is probably just really dumb in this character because once you have that first asset in play, you can just like commit it, give it +1/+1, and then you can ready that to draw a card after you've already drawn
Hmm.
a card off the asset. So I
Hmm.
think Unwavering Slash goes a long way in this deck.
Oh yeah, yeah. I definitely think you include it, but then you're playing an all deck also, right? And
Yeah.
like we need all to get some love. So like if she ends up being the all weapon character that kind of helps put it over so that her and Momo are viable because her and Momo share two symbols together, then cool.
Yeah.
You know, like I again, all in evil desperately needs some help.
Yeah.
So if it gets, Stain has two of those symbols. She now has
Mhm.
two of those symbols. Like if those symbols get enough support, then they're gonna get pulled up to where everyone else is, and that's great.
Yep. Alright, and then finally we got Monoma. Let me find him on Ultra here so I can put him on the screen. I mean,
Oh yeah.
on whatever
So I'll
website
go
I'm
ahead and
using.
share what MoMA is to everyone listening while you pull that up. So he is at 626. Again, not the best stats. All good life are his symbols. His response once per game. After your attack deals damage, gain all abilities on your rival's character for the rest of the game. This ability cannot be canceled. And then he has enhance. Your attack gains a keyword trait of your choice. If it gains taunt, this attack gets +1 damage. So Ryan, before I ask you your thoughts, I want to clarify some things for the listeners. Okay. Um, so first, let's talk about his enhance. So it says keyword trait. So that does not give it breaker or stun or any of those keyword abilities. What it does give it is kick, punch, weapon, tech, taunt. And just for the record, taunt is a keyword ability that does, or a keyword trait that does absolutely nothing and doesn't even show up on a lot of things. So I'm really hoping they actually put it by default on some of his stuff. But if they don't, I also kind of love that because if you know this character from the anime, he
Yeah.
literally just sits here and just taunts class 1A all the time. And he's
Yes.
kind of awful, but it's still really awesome that they put that on his character.
Yes.
Um, and then let's talk about his response. So his response is really accurate also to his character because his quirk lets him mimic someone else's quirk. Like once he makes contact with them, he can use their quirk for a certain amount of time. So they made his ability do exactly that. Like once he makes contact with them, he gets to take their character card abilities. That's so cool.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
So I think we'll probably be able to do some cool things with his character. I don't know if he's a better sideboard character than your starting character. Like that's a debate for other people to have because I don't know. Like I've barely
Mhm.
had a chance to look at him, but I think he'll be cool to do. He'll be good for certain attack lineups, right?
Right.
So for random like punch or weapon or whatever keyword, what all the keyword traits you just listed off are. If
Hmm.
there's stuff that interacts with that, he gives them that keyword, and it lasts until the rest of the turn. So you know, if something's looking for like a certain number of weapon cards or punch cards in your card pool, you can throw this on all your stuff and do fun stuff, or you can just give everything taunt and give it +1 damage if you need to do that as well.
Right. Yeah. Just a free damage on everything, which isn't the best, but whatever. It's free.
Yeah.
Um, So I'm right there with you. Like, I really like the design of this character. I think what you do is you just build a good deck, like just in general, with
Hmm.
him. Um, and you you plan on worst case scenario, my character just gets +1 damage to all my attacks. That's kind of worst case. That's not great. But maybe I gain some random cool thing from my rival. So like maybe you live the dream and you sit down across from that 50% Kirishima field and you're like, oh heck yeah, I'm gonna build a free foundation and I'm gonna pick stuff up and my attacks get an additional +1. You
Yeah.
suck. I'm awesome. Let's go. Like
Yeah.
but I don't think you plan around that, right? Like you don't because you sit down across from someone like Eraserhead, right? And you're like, well, I don't run a race, so this doesn't do anything really. I just get to draw two cards whenever I play my action, which isn't terrible, but it ain't great. So it's going to
The
be too
question
inconsistent in that capacity. Yeah.
the question is, do you put one erase in your sideboard if you're playing all? That way you can copy that and then actually use erase. Let's go.
Gah, right? You're just sitting here stealing people's quirks. You're like, oh, I'm the best. I'm a legend. I mean,
It'd be
I think
hilarious.
if you put this character in your sideboard, you definitely do that. Like you put that 1X erase in your sideboard. Also, you're like, just
Uh,
in case.
yeah, it'd be hilarious. Then you have to like get it in your discard pile somehow. But hey, we'll
Yeah,
figure it
yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll figure that out later. We're just in the brainstorming phase.
We're
But
here for the memes.
yeah, but I do think that he's really well designed.
Yeah,
I think that's a cool ability. I hope that it pans out right. Like, but so far, a lot of the characters are designed specifically for their kid that I feel like it'd be really hard to ever plan on him doing stuff. And from the looks of it, with his attack that we'll talk about here in just a minute, they don't really plan on him gaining other people's abilities either. Like
yeah,
his attack's kind of generic, right? Like, um, so his attack is Copy Harden, which, ironically, copying Kirishima. Um, and it's a 4 difficulty, 3 check, 4 high for 3, plus 2 high block. It's got Breaker 1, so that's really cool, and it's got Slam on it. All right, whatever, just another keyword trait. And it's Enhance, add 1 foundation from your stage to your hand. This attack gets plus 3 damage. Okay, well, that's cool.
Yeah,
Um,
I
add
had to
that committed
go.
foundation back up to your hand and give your attack plus 3 damage. Dope. Then I'm gonna give it plus 1 more damage, so this thing's gonna be a 4 high doing 7 on a
Yep.
4 check that gives you a card. How you feel about that, Ryan? Feeling good?
Yeah, and then you commit Harden to give it plus 3 more damage.
Yeah, 'cause it has the word harden in the title. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so I mean,
Hilarious.
like, just go ahead, know that this is gonna be in all the new Kirishima good list. Go ahead and know that. Um, but yeah, so I don't know, like, I think that's just a generically good card, is kinda my point, and it's not specifically designed around, like, if you've copied at an ability or anything like that, that's really narrow for him,
Yeah.
and I think that's done intentionally. His cards are probably just gonna be generically pretty good. I don't know, again, if he's getting a full kit or not, but either way, I think he's really cool design. I think this attack seems good.
Yep.
I look forward to seeing what the rest of his stuff is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited about a 4 half or 6 on a 4 difficulty. I mean, being able to pick up any of your flip stuff at any point during the game. I mean
Yeah.
you're playing this off if you're playing this off life, you just, like, tight-lipped anything and then pick it back up. Maybe you
Mhm.
just flip tight-lipped itself, pick it back up, and then replay it since it's a spam, and you can get it back out easy at the end of your turn. And then
Yeah.
you added 4 damage off of 1 tight-lipped. That's pretty sick.
Yeah. Don't mind if I do.
Alright, well, that is everything. We got, 7 new characters we just went over, or 8 new characters, and, I guess by the time you hear from us again, there'll probably be about 8 more new characters. So,
Right.
it seems like there's just an infinite supply of characters in this set, but hopefully we start seeing some rares and ultra rares soon. We've only seen 1 rare card out of all the spoilers they've done so far.
Yeah,
Um,
previews. All the previews they've done so far.
I was testing you and you called it. Good
Yeah.
job.
Not every time. Yeah. I'm on it.
But that's gonna be it for the show today, guys. Make sure you like and subscribe to our channel, and make sure you check out the website universusacademy.org, where you can see all the previews and reveals.
That's
They'll be
right.
up in chronological order, so you can see what day they came out. We got all your learn how to play stuff. So if you don't know what the heck's going on and you just saw a picture of like Shinji, whatever that character's name is, online somewhere, or Monoma, and you're like, man, this card game looks cool. There's some sweet stuff on there for you. Um, and then we got our podcast version of this, audio only. It's on Spotify. It's on Google Podcast. It's on Apple Podcasts.
Hopefully
Pretty
one of
much,
those platforms you're listening to it right now, right?
yeah. Probably it's on one of those
But you can get it from
platforms.
all of them.
Yeah, if you're on YouTube and you didn't know, now you know.
Mhm.
And I think that's about it. Unless you got anything, Matt.
Yeah, thanks for listening, and, yeah, we'll catch up with you guys later.
Have a good one.